Hello, this is Patrick from XPression. I'd like to show you the next step in working with disputed borders, making new shapes for the country boundaries that you've defined. So here I am in XPression Maps, and you can see that I'm still here at the Morocco Western Sahara grouping of countries. And if I go into my search editor and I search for Morocco, what you're going to find when I add the related shape, I still have the original shape that comes in the database, and that's probably not really going to change because this database will occasionally get updated and it's reaching out to OpenStreetMap or Bing or other providers to define that. So we've got a secondary workflow here that lets you define these particular regions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my drawing toolbox and I'm going to choose areas. And I'm going to pick an area that's somewhat translucent, and you'll see why in a second. So I've got this yellow that's at 80%. And now that I've got Morocco here and I've got it selected, I'm going to drag the yellow shape and drop it into Morocco. And what I want you to notice right away, there's a border around it. And I'm also going to point out there's a new tool we've talked about before, which is the drawings overview, which now lists Morocco. And I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to come into Morocco and I'm going to zoom in on the Morocco outline. And you'll notice if I click off of it, the outline goes away, but if I click on it, there's still a border here. The border is really a series of anchor points, and if I click on one of them, you're going to see that it will turn into a red dot. And I'm going to press the delete key, and you'll notice that that is starting to delete those points, and I'm going to delete it up until the border between Morocco and Western Sahara. I'm going to come down on the other side here, and I'm going to do the same thing. And what you'll notice is I'm deleting these points. The shape style here, or I should say the area shape, is starting to change, and we're focusing on the yellow portion here. The red is the original Morocco, so you're going to see that here that I'm going to go through and this is going to delete this. And again, I'm doing this quickly here. I'm just holding down the delete key to get to a certain set of points. When I get closer here, I'm going to go a little slower. The other thing I'm going to show you here, the area line edit options. I've got this set right now to no handles, and if I had, for example, free handles or locked handles, that would not get just the points, but it would also get any of those handles for making Bezier curves. So I've set that to no handles. Now I'm going to come up here in the middle of this, and I'm going to keep deleting, and you'll see that it's going clockwise, basically, is the way to define this as I'm deleting these points. And I'm going to come all the way up here, and I'm going to work to delete these points here. And again, you're going to see I'm going to go as quick as I can to get this done, and we're going to make sure that you get a true understanding of this because we're also going to combine another piece of feature set here in just a second. So I'm going to keep deleting these points. I know it's kind of like watching paint dry. This is not a simple task, and it is a little time consuming, but hopefully you'll do it just once. And I'm going to zoom in here really close so I can see these points going away. I'm just going to delete them, and I'm going to come up here and delete more, and I'm going to delete this one last stray point here. No, not that one, but the one below it. Actually, I'll probably get rid of both of them. Okay, now what you'll notice as I zoom out, I now have an area shape that is inside the boundaries of Morocco. And I'm going to come over here to my shape editor, and if I click on Morocco, I've got something here. Now what I want you to notice, I'm going to come up to the drawings overview. I'm going to click and drag Morocco down into my shape area. And again, I'm under the drawing relation tab, so you can see you normally won't see this. The drawing relation is what you want to expand, and I'm going to click in here. I'm going to explain these two icons. Again, I've got a shape, which is the country boundaries of Morocco in this case, and I've got an area, which is the area drawing tool object that I put on top. If I want to use the shape style to define the area, basically the intersection of it, if I click on that, you'll notice it'll change, and it's now the 80% yellow, which I had originally created. If I had gone the other way and I had done this one instead of this one, you can see that I kind of have that there. They kind of both have the same effect, but what are you using to cut out what? We want to use the shape to cut out the area. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this, and I have this. Now this becomes what we refer to as a user predefined object. I'm going to go up to my view window, and I'm going to add this because it may not be in my current layout. So I'm going to use user predefined objects, and I'm going to find it over here. In my circumstance, it's going to be underneath the drawing tool tabs. And the way this works, this lets me take these particular objects and shapes and define them. So I'm going to leave this one called Morocco, and I have to put these into groups and folders. You notice right now there's nothing here. So I'm going to create a group that I'm going to call Disputed. Perfect. Now I've got that done, and now I have at least the disputed section. I'm going to come in the main area here. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to add a folder, and I'm going to call it Morocco Modified. I think that's spelled right. Now, anyways, I've got this here. That's selected. I'm going to come back up here now, and I'm going to drag this object into the Morocco Modified. And it lets me have this in here, and these could be search terms that will come up. This is for how I search it in the database, and I'm going to show you in a second what this means. I'm going to basically leave this as Morocco. I'm going to call it Modified Morocco Shape. And I have this button here called Create Thumbnail. If I didn't have a thumbnail, it would create one for me. I'm going to click Add. Now, when I've got something here in that modified tool, I can do a lot of things with it, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But if I want to make this available for the newsroom users now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into my output mode, manage templates, and I'm in underneath morning news. You see that I have a field here called user predefined objects, and again, I need to have a folder to put this into. So I'm going to create the same thing here. So I'm going to call it disputed. Now I'm going to click add. I'm going to select Morocco, and I'm going to add that into my folders here. So now that's available to the newsroom users. Now either way, when I do this searching for Morocco, these things will now be available to me to add to maps. And the nice part about it, if I tell the system, hey, I want to create a new map, I'm not going to save anything I've done here. If I'm over here, for example, I can now drag this out onto my map, and you'll notice right away it adds it to my map for me. So that's one of the benefits of doing this. Again, that's the workflow it shows up there. Let's quickly go into the newsroom and see how that works. Okay, so I'm logged in under my Maps account. Let's go in, and we're going to go look in morning news, and I'm going to just call up a New York City map that I was working on, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to search for Morocco. And what I want you to notice is I now see the map using the same styles that I was working with, and you can see that I've got the shapes that come in here from everything else that was done in the database that we know about, but the user predefined objects would be what you're working with within your particular facility to decide what this is. So this is my modified Morocco shape. So if I literally click the plus sign, you can see that it adds it to my map. So this is using predefined objects to work with defined borders for your broadcast and matching it out to what your particular organization feels are the proper boundaries or borders for disputed areas on your map.